going to start recording now. Okay, so hello, welcome wherever you're watching this. This is Sarah Ross calling in from France, so I'm an hour ahead of the UK. This is the London to New York crossover session, specifically using the Harmonic Scanner and pitchforks. So what I'm going to do first of all is I've got 4 pairs that I'm going to be looking at today, because this morning on Chance and Samantha's session on TV we set up all our pairs and look at which way price is going to go, and then there were about 4 of them that we're setting up for this session, so I will find those in a minute. I just wanted to check what had happened this morning, because we were looking at Euro GBP for a sell, and that's where that's on the 1 minute chart. We always enter on the 1 minute. Sorry, it's saying my computer connection is unstable, so I hope it's going to be all right. I can't see the chat. I'm trying to, oh yes, that's because I need to look on, so it's quite difficult for me to actually monitor comments as well. I'm going to have to switch the other computer on next time I do this. So please bear with me. I'm not trying to be rude if I don't answer a comment on Facebook. Let me just go into Ninja Forex Traders again, but I can't see this post in there. Anyway, I'm going to crack on. So this morning on the London session, they usually just do a Tuesday and Wednesday, but we did a Thursday because they had some family commitments, so Chance added another session in. So you can see we have the price line there, and it stayed, did the break and retest. There's a little bit of slippage there above the line, and then it went under the 62 EMA. So that was a total, or down to the next quarter theory, 26 pips. So you would have got your 20 pips there. So I'm going to take that off now, because I'm not looking at a Euro GBP pair at the moment. So I'm going to save that, and I'm just going to check out USD JPY. Now normally what we do is go and mark up all our charts at the beginning of the week using the Harmonic Scanner, where I'm encouraged to come to our money making hour on our own. What I love about this strategy is it teaches you to trade yourself, because you are using the rules, the system and the process. There's no bad thing taking signals, but this really does teach you the skill for life, and it gives you the confidence to do it. So this morning I then went on another live session with the ninjas, and we did look at USD JPY, but they use the web analyzer, so I tend to stay a bit in the background. But sometimes if we've got confluence and what I'm looking at matches up, I mean, there's no right or wrong strategy. You just have to pick one that suits you, your lifestyle and the type of trader that you are. What appealed to me about this strategy in particular was I believe it has the highest return on investment, risk to reward ratio, and that's why we enter on the 1 minute, because we're working on very accurate entries and very tight stop loss of normally 10 pips, although we do spread it a bit on the GBP pairs. So when we were looking at this earlier today, it was about, I remember I'm an hour ahead of all you guys in the, oh, here we are. So that was, they were looking at it for a sell. Anyway, I didn't do anything with that. I was just following along, so I'm going to get rid of that because I didn't do anything with it anyway, and just get rid of that, tidy up the chart while I'm there. I don't want to look at this one at the moment. I want to look, just tidy up my screen a bit. Euro GBP's gone down again. I don't want to look at that one at the moment. I'm going to, these are ones I was looking at this morning. I've got an alert going off somewhere. That's Euro USD. I will come back to some of these. So, and these were all ones from this morning. And what we do is we go into, so as I say, we mark up our charts on our own, and we mark them up on the charts markups on the Monday night before the Tuesday London live session. We do that with Chance and Samantha, and also the Tuesday night before they trade live on the Wednesday. Otherwise, we're expected to come prepared with all our charts marked up. So on the Telegraph channel, I didn't have time after the call this morning, the London call. He posted these for New York setup, which is why I want to look at them now, because he gave us 4, and I thought although he's put quite a lot in, I'm going to look at all those. I know which 4 I want to find. So I'm going to try and find AJ first of all from this morning. So let me find it on here, and then I'll recognise the pattern. Load chart layout. AJ, where are you? There we are. Or JPY. That's on the hourly at the moment. Let me just move that over. Let's have a look, see if I can find that on his. That goes on his, just to show you what he does with. Would it be that one? Just look at the pattern again. Could be that one. Can leave them open. Oh yeah, AJ, there we are. So this is on the 60 minutes, the same as me. So he was looking at this. He hasn't particularly marked up price. That to me looks like it's one of the quarter theory lines that goes wrong. I've never seen Chance mark an alert or a line up straight up like that. But what you can see from what he marked up this morning was that the trend is your friend. The trend is generally down. We're looking for 3 confirmations, and you can see it's come and always a pitchfork attached to the pitchfork. So we've got a break and a retest. Although I'd be looking on the 1 minute, not the 60 minute. Down below the 62 EMA, all the way down there. So you've got 20, 40, 60 pips. You've got 20 pips in each band. He's set. Oh, there's his alert. He always has his alerts in pale blue. So he was looking for a sell at this point this morning, he thought, because of the downward trend, the breaks and the retest to the downside. And I don't know, he didn't put a fib on this, whether it came back up to the 88.6, but we can take a look at that. So let's see what it's doing now. So as the hourly, just come along a bit, take the pivots off for a moment. So it's not really setting up for anything we want to do at the moment, because it's sitting in the middle of the pitchforks, and a pitchfork is a highly accurate mathematical trend line, and this is all drawn off Fibonacci, which is all built into the Harmonic Scan and the pitchforks. So we take the pitchforks as reversal points for the buy or the sell. We never prejudge, and we're only ever looking for 2 things when price hits pitchfork. It's either going to reject and come down, or it's going to break. It's going to break and retest above. And remember as well, no retest, no entry is another one of our golden rules. So nothing for us on this one at the moment. There was that. It's just. I don't know why my computer's so slow today. A bit slow. Here we are. If I just magnify that for you. So we've got, I don't know why my internet connection's unstable. It's never usually, oh, maybe because of using Zoom streamed into Facebook. It's never usually a problem. Yeah. So just looking at back where we were this morning, because we were on London at, that would be, I come on London at 9 o'clock my time. That's 8 o'clock in the UK. So on the hourly, we had the price had wicked off this pitchfork and come up, tested that one, broken through, followed the 62, quite a big wick there. Oh, which day is that? Sorry, beg your pardon. That was 2 days ago. Going mad. 9 o'clock this 28th. I've only just sat down today, 29th, here we are, hourly. So big drop this morning then. Just coming out of Tokyo into early London, hugging the pitchfork. You can see the sort of doji candle there, isn't it? And then it's suddenly shot up at opening of London. And that's when you'll find price moves the most for these sort of pairs. Although this is all JPY, but that is one that's quite fast and you can trade it. I think that's one of the ones on my list that, let's see what speed it is. I got that at 6 as a 6 out of 10. And I think that's one of the ones you can trade all day long. I'm still working out the previous 10 sessions Chance taught us to do, so you can work out the times when it's best to take a particular pair, which I think gives you an ability to hone in on when you come on for your money-making hour. So it went right up there, and as I say, it's in the middle, so it will probably come up to that pitchfork at the, but it's not, and I suppose what we'd be looking at now is coming into Asian session on this one. I'll just put the pivots on the hourly, so it's the market hasn't really turned yet. It's quite hard to see where the Elliott wave is when you're in the middle of actually trading. Sometimes you think you found the pullback. If I put a fib on that down. So it's come down. So if I do the fib, I think I do it this way around, the fib from, in this case, say I wanted to take it from somewhere like that. And we've taken off the 27 and the 32 because we never use them. So, oh, there we are. So according to where I've drawn it, it pulled back. It's wicked it there on the 61. And it's just coming down on this pitchfork here. So if that's the pullback to the 61, sometimes we look at the 88.6, which is down here. It depends where you draw the fib. So nothing much for me on that one, on the old JPY. I'll just save that at the moment. I want to look at, that was all JPY, which Chance thought was setting up for New York, but I don't see it. I don't see it myself at the moment. 4 o'clock. So what I will do then, as it was one of the ones he thought would set up, I think what I'll do is put an alert here. Now, if you haven't got the paid version of TradingView, then you can get a free you have to excuse me, ma'am. I've got someone. Bonjour. Ah oui. Pardon parce que je dois faire les draps pour votre lit, mais si je vous donne la clé, c'est possible pour vous entrer l'appartement et puis plus tard je fais les draps pour votre lit. Okay. Attendez un moment, s'il vous plaît. Oh, I'm very sorry. Someone's arrived early. I'm just going to give them the key to the apartment. I'll be back in 2 ticks. Right. Sorry about that, they arrived early, check-in time's at 3. Right, okay, so I'm just going to set that alert. There is a free app called Call Levels, I think it's called, for people who don't have a paid version of TradingView. I like the alert to be only 3 to 5 pips from the pitchfork. So I'll just add the alert, and I'll put pitchfork touch, and then I'll look at it later. I'm going to move that, save, and I like to change mine to green, blue, the same as charts, then you don't get muddled up with whatever you're doing with your trend lines. Right, so next one I wanted to look at was USD CAD. Now normally it's nice to save these all on the right hand side on your watch list, but when I first set up the system I got in a bit of a muddle over it, so I've never managed to sort it out yet, but I'm going to start to do, I've got all my scans going back to January on this system here, but I'm going to start to put new scans on my watch list on the right hand side because it's quicker then just to look at the ones you're, you can tag them with a different colour, the ones you're going to look at. Right, USD CAD. And this one is USD CAD is, that's a 5 out of 10 in terms of speed. I'm not, this is where you've got to choose a strategy that suits you, because I'm not very keen on the very slow pairs, although I have looked at Euro GBP today. I'm not very good at swing trading. There's great, I've never really been keen on doing the ones with big stop losses and hanging in trades for days. I think that's why I like Chance, because he gets a bit bored and impatient, and I like this because it's a mixture of scalping, but you can stack in trades and you can do the intraday swinging, which I like as well. You can catch a lot of pips for, as I say, very low risk on your capital. So what have we got here? Let me just, that's the 1 minute. Let me just go out to the hourly, refresh my memory. This was a huge scan, wasn't it, this one? Can't remember on the C to D. Oh, not as big as some of the others, 114. Let me take that off. This was old stuff. Find a few, clean up your charts, keep your pitchforks. I always try and keep them, the latest one in white, and then I fade the others out to different colours in the background. So we've, that can come out as well, and that, and that. So what have we got here off the D? Well, it has now hit the median, because remember we only buy in the direction of the scan until it's hit the median, because that gives you the highest probability of success on your trade, and that's what this strategy is all about. So you can see that it has hit the median. It's then been playing along, just doing its little thing. dropped down to quarter theory. Now quarter theory, extra aggressive lines of support and resistance every 50 pips. Bankers will always settle up in round numbers, and quarter theory, all you've got to do is click the button on and off, obviously do the settings, and money will always return between those 50 pip bands. So it came down here to quarter theory, and then it didn't like that very much, so it came up to the pitchfork, and then it's dropped down and it's broken through quarter theory, and that was this morning at the opening of London. So if you were, although that was USD CAD this morning, so I probably wouldn't have been looking at that this morning. 30 pips there. And then it's been hugging the 62 EMA, and again, price will always suck back to the 62 EMA, which is the average of the most recent 62 days price. It's the 62 because that's nearest to the 61.8 Fibonacci point. We use that, and the 88.6, which are the two strongest slingshot points. So let me drop down to the 1 minute. So what have we got? We've got a trend. We've got the trend coming down there, but we've got this now coming up here. So it's sort of trapped in a price trap, I think, at the moment. Let's have a look what it's doing on this. Have we got 3 confirmations here for anything? So we've got a trend coming down here. Something like that, I think I like. And I need to change that colour. That's my alert colour. Because it's very steep there, but that doesn't give me a trend. So what have we got now? We've got it breaking and retesting the 62, which is one of our confirmations. We've got a touch to the pitchfork, which is a second confirmation, and we haven't got a let's put this trend line on here. If we got a trend line break that we like, so that would be our bullish trend. So I think what we're looking for, if this broke and retested, it's broken, retested there, it's under the 62 EMA, it's touched the pitchfork. How many pips? Because usually chart says break and retest of 10 pips, and that is 10 pips. So that to me looks like a sell there. Let me magnify that. I think I'll take the pivots off. We don't need those on, do we? And let's just double check that. Where's our next line down here? There's our next quarter theory. Right, so let's go over that again. So we've got a downward trend there. That's the pitchfork. We've got the pitchfork touch. We've got under the 62 EMA. We've got a break and retest of the 62 EMA on the 1 minute. And I think if it just now comes below here, I might get in that for a sell. That's what I'm looking at, is this point here. And then in terms of how far that might go, I usually, you've got to decide what you're going to do with your trades when you get in them. And I usually set it at 20 pips, but I just follow what Chance does. Hang on, I can never get out of the brush strokes, which is to set an alert at 10 pips, come back and look at it, set my stop profit in at 1 pip so that I'm not going to give money back to the market, and then see how far I think it's going to run depending on what the candles are doing. So where are we on timing? This is coming up to the 15-minute candle shortly before. Mine says 14:41. Last 15-minute candle is coming up. So let me just look at where this closes. Let's go to the 5-minute, which I don't always do, but see what's going to happen. Oh, it's got another 3 minutes on the 5-minute. So you can see it more clearly on the 5-minute. You can see the that was the pivot up there. So I quite like the look of that. So we've got it. Let's put a short position on it and say if we got in. Although now we've magnified it, we've got 2 pitchforks crossing. So I don't like the look of that so much until it's decided what it's going to do under this other pitchfork. So that must be an old pitchfork coming through. That always worries me a bit, but let me just put a position on. So I'm just wondering whether I'm going to wait till about there. $10. Just move that to 10. And I think I'll come out. Just want to see where I've got to refresh my memory about this other. That's about this other pitchfork that I'm looking at. Right, that's the one we're looking at there. So where does that other one relate to? Sometimes I put on secondary pitchforks for something or other. That is off. I'm sorry if this looks like a Harlequin outfit. It just happened to be one which had a lot of scans at the time. So that's come off. That's come off an old scan. But that's where I've drawn. Oh, I drew an extra A for something or other. I drew a secondary pitchfork. Price must have moved somewhere. So that one I'm going to not pay, yours pay more attention to the most recent scan. So I think I'm going to ignore that and pay more attention to this white one. I'll change this to, might take it off later, but for today I'll change it to green and fade it. Right, so that's looking better. So let's go back to the 1 minute then and see if it's retesting anything. And we're now in coming to the last 15-minute candle. So we've got a break and retest again of the 62, haven't we? And I'm gonna, if it drops again in this last 15 minutes, I think I'm gonna get in that because I've got my pitchfork touch, I've got the break and retest of the 62, I've now got the break and close of candles under that trend line. So I'm liking the look of that. Just take that off. Can't see my. Just take that take that off and do it again. Can't see the whole thing. Oh, it's going up now. Is that just it? Trying to make its mind up. Just having a bit of a retest, bit of a fake out. 10. 10, right, and then put 10 down there. So let me write that down. So we've looked at AJ, this is UCAD. I was going to look at NU and NC. Just move it onto a clean page. I still want to look at NU and NC. And it's the 29th of the 8th. And New York. So 1.32684 for stock profit. Price roundabout 1.32785, and then stop loss 1.32884. You see where the pivots are doing. Oh, it's flattened out a bit, hasn't it? Move my trend there. Draw a new one, the magnet on. Get rid of that. Just move that down a bit. Take the magnet off for a minute. Right, let's put that on there. Draw it on the 1 minute. 1, 2, 3. So I've got a touch, 1, 2, 3, 1, nearly a touch there, 2, 3, and then the pivot 4, and then it's going up, so obviously didn't like that. So it's rejecting off the pitchfork, going to the upside. But you can see that the market hadn't made its mind up because the lower highs, not, they're virtually equal still, aren't they? So it's a bit of, in fact, it's gone the other way. So just as well not do anything with that. It's burst up through. So how many pips has it moved now off that pitchfork? Gosh, oh, didn't check the news, did I? What time are we? It's the last 10 minutes, coming up to 3 o'clock my time. Unless I've missed something. I only ever bother to put on the greys and the reds. I don't put on the yellows and oranges or whatever they are. I just use what Sam and Chance use.
Yeah. Sarah,
yeah,
it's Bob here. Hi. There was an announcement at 1:30 on USD.
Oh,
a red folder. So that's
what's just done that then.
Yeah, that's what's
USD. I've got 130 per
130.
Yeah, red flag. There we are.
That's it.
So that's 130 to 230. So that's just kicking in now. Then we could have done a news trade.
All right.
Well,
could we?
They have a lovely strategy for that, but I only ever do it on demo because I did one early hours of this morning on NZD.
Yep.
Using Oren Wright's strategy, where say this is the news announcement.
Yep.
Price will always return to 50%. He says. So I'm just going to take that off, as we're obviously not doing that now. Should have checked Forex Factory. Didn't think of that. Got distracted. So if I put, this is what Oren Wright says, and Chance likes this, fib retracement. So if price is shot up there, yeah, from the news announcement, it will return to the 50%. And I tried that last night for the first time, and it was only a few pips, but it did return to the 50%.
Oh, right.
And Oren Wright trades that very successfully.
But how do you know where to measure from?
Well, I think you measure from, because what happens on a news announcement is you get a fake out in a different direction on the previous minute's candle. Oh.
Right.
So, brush stroke. Get rid of. I can never get rid of my brush strokes, even with the cat. I always have to do it like this. So the previous candle before the news announcement.
Yeah.
It was at 1:30 UK time, was it?
1:30 UK time.
So that's
Yes.
2:30 my time. So as this went for a buy, then then it must have been, if it was at 2:30 my time, then it would have been this announcement here, wouldn't it? But then, my God, look at it now.
Yes.
Reaction. So if it was 1:30 your time.
Yep. It would be 2:30 your time.
So I need to look at 2:30 on mine.
Yes.
So 2:30 on mine is there. So that's the fake out candle.
Right.
Is the one before, but that looks like a small news announcement. They'd usually move more bigger than that. So what you're looking for is a fake out. The way that it shoots, say it's shot up,
yeah.
Then at the 2:30 news announcement, the next candle will be going the opposite direction normally.
Right.
There's a fake out push in the opposite direction. So
yeah.
we get in and do an immediate buy or sell with a 10 pip stop loss, and then you're closing it almost straight away. And sometimes you can catch 50 pips. But I'm not confident or 100. I'm not confident enough to do it on live yet. I only been practicing on demo on my phone when he does them. But I did do one this morning. So what I would have done this morning on NZD is you look at the opening of that 1 minute news candle, put your fib on the open of it, and then at the bottom of it. And it's simple as that. So, or the bottom of where the run is, rather. So let's say this was the news announcement here, because we've got a bigger number of candles, which would be more like a news announcement, and it had shot up. So that my 100%, I'd take the fib from the bottom and shoot it up to the top of the big climb, and then it will come back to the 50%. So just looking at the length of the news push in our direction, which could be several candles, but whatever's gone straight up. So because it'll come back apparently fairly quickly. I've watched it once on Orange Strategy. I don't look at him a lot, but as I say, Chance has tried it as well and said it does work.
All right. Okay.
Yeah. So shame we didn't know about that, because well, not that we would have been trading, would we? Because if it's 2:30 my time, I would stay away from it till 3:30 unless I'm doing a news live thing on a team call with Chance and Samantha.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's just gone. That's just gone our 20 pips, hasn't it? Just about 19. Got 19 pips there in about 14:43. 40 in 10 minutes.
That's good if you can do it, and it's the thing is the volatility, isn't it? And it's
I wouldn't have been doing anything with this, I have to say.
Yeah.
Well, I might have been in my ignorance, if I hadn't remembered to check the news.
Yes, that's right. That's good.
I've done that
sorry,
before.
I had to pull out for about 10 minutes, so I missed the sort of last 10 minutes.
That's okay. I had to go and answer the doorbell. My French guest arrived early, which was a bit embarrassing. It's never happened to me before.
Right. Okay. And so I don't know if I missed anything in the last. Well, I presume.
I was going over one or two of Chance's setups earlier today just to see what had happened, but not ones I've been trading now. And I said what I specifically wanted to look at today was the 4 that he said this morning. And I was talking about some general principles. The 4 that he talked about this morning.
Yeah.
So I was looking at those 4. So we had looked at all JPY.
Yeah.
We were then looking at USD CAD, which we just discussed. And then I was going to look at two others, which is New Zealand USD, although I might do the last one next, which is New Zealand dollar, CAD, Canadian dollar. So what I'd just done before you arrived back on was I'd gone to the look at, because I didn't have time after the London session with Chance this morning. He'd marked some things up for today, because he doesn't usually trade with us on a Thursday. He was making up the fact that they were off on Monday. So I looked at this one, which was the ORD-CAD one, to see how he'd marked it up. But all he'd done was put an alert for us to look at it for the sell. But when we looked at it earlier, it may have moved now. Oh, it can't have moved, because I would have got an alert ping in my ear. I've stuck an alert on, I think. I think I stuck the alert on. Let me just go back to it. No, I forgot to stick the alert on. Oh, so again, you see, I put the alert up there, but he had got it down here, but it was going up. So there's quarter theory there, and I've put the alert to touch that pitchfork. But as there's quarter theory there, that might affect it. But you've got to have a pitchfork touch before you do this strategy. That's an absolute must. So that's why I put my alert to ping a few pips before the pitchfork. But it may struggle at that quarter theory and decide it's coming back down there.
Right, okay.
So I didn't see a trade at the moment, because it's sat in the middle of pitchforks on or JPY at the moment. But I think that's one of the ones you can trade all day long, but that may be one that could be looked at in the Asian session. I might come back to that later. But at the moment, I just stick the pivots on, which is the lazy man's way of highs and lows. And that shows a downward trend there. And, it's had a bit of a channel, hasn't it? There, 260, 218. But the market has, it's hugged the 62 all the way along. It's dropped down to that pitchfork. It's now making its way up to either this quarter theory or breakthrough to that pitchfork. But for me, it's not a trade at the moment with this style of trading.
Right, okay.
Although it's quite far
is that also the case with UCAD as well? It's a no trade, is it? With
UCAD at the moment, well, that is incredible, because it's just burst through quarter theory. This is on the 1 minute. So I would not be trading this, because it's not there's my next pitchfork.
Yeah.
So I've missed this trade of whatever was happening down here, which would have been because something's rattled it, hasn't it? So on the 1 minute.
Well, it's probably the same USD, and it's that USD announcement, isn't it?
Yes.
At
oh yeah.
1:30.
So that's on the 15 minute. I'll just take the pivot. The pivots show it's gone up to the median, so that means you can now buy or sell it using this strategy. From the D point, we only sell or buy in the direction of the scan until it's hit the median. So it's hit the median, so that means as of this point, it's good for a buy or a sell. So it's I've got it on the 15 minute here. So it's coming all the way along the 62. It's gone up to that pitchfork. It's come right down to the pitchfork, and now it's made its way up to quarter theory there. So it's on quarter theory at the moment. So for me at the moment, I don't know what the market's. I'm going to take that off. I don't know what the market's doing, because the pivots. The trend's been down. I suppose I could stick a fib on. We could see what that's showing us. Because why don't we do that just to see? Because we never try and predict, do we? It's either a buy or a sell off the pitchfork on this strategy. So all we ever do is look for that or look for that. But obviously the trend is your friend.
Yep.
But here it's if we go back in time to my Harlequin patchwork quilt.
That's quite a good description, isn't it?
Yeah, I know. It does people's head in. It's
surely not, Sarah. I mean, surely anybody looking at that would instantly be able to.
I know, but you see, I love it. I find this. I know where I am with this. You see, I've got all my little dots and crosses. I've just got to fill in the crosses and noughts and crosses.
And then that's it, and you're away. Yep.
So the trend generally since beginning of August has been on the 62 EMA. Although, as Paul says, you know, it's a strange month for trading. Oh,
Yeah.
I can never get rid of that. I always have to do something weird to get rid of it. Never seems to unlock, even when I don't have a magnet on. So that was the new scan at a new reversal point. The Harmonic Scan's drawn us a new reversal point in the market. So over a period of a day, the last 2 days, it's now come up to the median, hugging the 62, drop right down, and then right back up to quarter theory. So what did it, just let me remind myself what the pivots say it's doing. So to me, it hasn't kind of made its mind up whether it's in an upward trend because it's very choppy. So what I'd be looking for now is it going to reject off this quarter theory, or is it going to do something? Is it going to come, you know, I think I'll probably be putting it there.
Yeah.
So I think what I will do, because I'll look at this later, this is what I normally do, is see if it's going to, I think this is what Chance does. He puts a little alert either side of the line to see whether it's going to break and retest, or whether it's going to reject off, and then you can come back and look at it without having to sit looking at it.
Yep.
So I'll just put upwards off quarter. And then I just have to change my colours like he does, otherwise I don't want to muddle up with the rest of my little squiggles.
It's like a rainbow, Sarah.
I know, it's pretty, isn't it?
It's absolutely beautiful.
It look pretty. As to whether I can convert that prettiness to money is another matter.
I'm sure you can, with that sort of colour choice. Yeah.
I know, it's a winner. Right, I'm going to look at, we'll look at New Zealand dollar USD, although I suppose that's been affected as well. So there's 3 hours that he suggested we look at. So I'll just find it on here. And that one on my little list, oh, it's a slow moving pair. It's only a 2 out of 10. That's on the hourly.
Right.
So
that's no action to take.
No, I don't know yet. I'm just saying it's a slow moving.
Oh, sorry. Right.
On his currency speed thing.
Yeah.
So that's been in a downward trend for a long time off this pitchfork. And that was drawn in July, the last scan that we had.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to come to the 1 minute, see what we've got. Close that. You don't want to look at that set of colours as well, I'm sure. Oh no, I'll take this off. I had a fib on it for earlier on. It doesn't affect us now. So it has come off that. Right. Okay, that's an old pitchfork, that green one that's crossing that quarter theory as well. very strong resistance to break through, which of course it therefore didn't. Couldn't cope with that. So it looks like it's on its way down, and it's actually looking quite good. It's touching a pitchfork, so there is probably something to look at here now.
Oh, right.
Except we've just had that news, haven't we?
Yeah, although that's now 40 minutes ago or so, isn't it? So hopefully most of the reaction out of the news has taken place.
Yeah, good point. So
I think people talk about not trading an hour either side of the news. And okay, it's 40 minutes ago, which I guess isn't too far away. So yeah. So this looks of interest to you.
Yes, because it's on this pitchfork touch, which is one of our absolute musts. It must touch a pitchfork because a pitchfork is a reversal point for us.
Yeah.
So it's just doing that now, which is good. It's come under the 62 EMA, which is the second confirmation. Yep. So what we'd be looking for now is our third confirmation. So we could put a trend line on there. One, two, three, four. I just nicked the end of that candle though to do that. Need to change the colour on that because that's my alerts colour. Let me just magnify that. And this other thinner line is the 15-minute EMA, the 930 line, because there are 15, that's the 62 EMA, which is the average of 62.
That's the orange,
that's the thick orange one, average of 62 days price.
Yep.
So we take 62 times 15 for 15-minute candle, and then that gives you 930, which is what you put on your setting here.
Okay.
For this little one here.
Okay, right.
So it's kind of coming together on those two. So at the moment it's playing along my green pitchfork.
Yep.
It does have a trend down. It's under the 62. So the other thing we look at, and I can't remember where I've saved it offhand, is where we've got a little check sheet which Mark drew up for us, which we use on all our trades. My computer restarted this morning for updates, so I don't know if I closed it.
Right.
I know where I've got it now. If I go to documents, go here and into trading. I think it's in charts and Samantha. No, that might be. I don't know if that's the old one. Oh no, that's good. This is the one Mark did us. So these were our essential confirmations, and then this. So for each trade, must have the pitchfork touch, and then you pick. It's like a pick and mix menu. You need two at least of these. So is it rejecting or breaking through quarter theory? Where is it in relation to that? Is it above the 62 EMA for a buy or below it for a sell? Have you got a break and retest of the 1 minute trend? Is there a channel touch? Because you can trade between the channels. Is it pulling back off the 88.6 or 61.8 fib, your slingshot points, and then you put your results in? Because like Paul was saying this morning, you don't need a lot. You don't need to be. You do at the beginning need to sit on the computer quite a bit to get confident and learn it. But after that, you want to be coming back when you're fresh and look at your setups and deciding when your money making hour is, because it's not about grinding. Chance says himself, oh, he looks like a fake out. Chance says himself that he used to do in 8 out of 10 trades, but if he sat on the computer longer to grind away and did 20 trades, he still only won about 8 or 10 of them. It's not about how many or grinding away and getting tired. So that's another thing I like about this strategy, you know. But Paul said he can set the alerts and then just leave it.
Yeah.
So so at the moment it's still playing along this pitchfork. What we're looking for, we've got a break and retest. No, we've got a wick there, haven't we?
Yep.
And we haven't got a break. It's a steep trend, but it's breaking to the upside, isn't it?
Yep.
So maybe if I put another trend line on here, and what we want then is a close, although I've only got 2 touches on.
Yes, it's probably not a very strong trend line, is it?
Exactly, that's what I'm thinking. It's not, is it? Because I've got 2 now, but let me put the pivots back on and just have a look. But it looks like it is setting up for something for us.
And this is to go long, is it? Is your assumption it's long?
No, I think this is a short position. I think.
Right.
But again, I just need to change this. I think these need to be on 9.
But don't let me. I mean, I know nothing about. I've
no, that's fine. I don't know very much either. I just keep trying to turn up every day and do it little by little. You know,
right.
I just literally. I honestly, I'm in the fortunate position I can work at home. So in between changing beds for guests, you know, this is all I do, and I just keep turning up every day, and I just do what chance says, and it doesn't matter whether it's his strategy or someone else's. It's pick a strategy and be consistent, because I just turn up every day and I do some education and I do some trading, whether it's on demo or on live. Increasingly, I'm trying just to do it on live, but it depends. I'm still doing new strategy on demo. Here we are. It's coming. So it's coming down now.
Yeah.
If we just went to the 15-minute, because I just want to see what the trend is doing. Let me zoom out. What I wanted to see if we can get to, you can see that the pitchforks, the scan itself is a downward one.
Right.
Perhaps I should have gone back to the hour to show that. So the scanner is giving us reversal points in the market. So you have to look at sort of, is it forming a reversal point, you know, depending on what you're looking at, or is it continuing the trend down? There was the scan. So it's been, since that last scan was drawn, it's been coming down since mid-July.
Yeah.
And that's the white pitchforks here.
Yeah. Those ones there, right.
Yeah, so we can say the trend is our friend.
Yeah.
I just need to put that, I don't want to move my settings. I'll have to take that off because we can't see what the hell we're doing. So it's that's on the 15-minute. Well, it's hugged the 62 virtually all the way. The green is an old pitchfork, so it's bounced off the new one up to an old one, down along quarter theory, down to a pitchfork, up to quarter theory where it's whipped through to the pitchfork, down 50 pips to quarter theory. Those are extensions of pitchforks. Yeah. The 61.8 point, and come back up, hugging the 62, back up to quarter theory, touching 2 pitchforks, back down, hugging the 62, down to a pitchfork and quarter theory where it's broken through again, and a pitchfork where it's broken down again, and now it's only, how many pips is that off that next quarter theory line? 3 pips. So considering it's a 5.3 trillion market, I consider that a quarter theory rejection. So, and you can see the 62s coming up. So I think you're right that this, although look at this very strong line of support and resistance, if it is coming back up and the market's reversing, it's going to go, it should now go up to this quarter theory point, but it's also got to get through that pitchfork, and then it's got to get up to here. So because of these strong lines, I personally wouldn't want to touch this until I see what it does at this point here.
Yeah.
And as I'm on the 15 minutes, I'll stick the hull on, although this is a slightly lagging indicator. We'll go back and look at that in a minute. It's just loading. So the hull is still on red. So the line on the hull is your 1 minute line, showing what price is, sorry, the green and the red thin line is showing what price is doing in the 1 minute, which is the strongest trend. That's like being in a wind tunnel. So it lags by about 30%, so it's saying it's still down. And then the band is 15 minutes, so it's still saying it's down, but I would be looking closely at that to see where it's, although I use it more for exits than entries.
Right.
So I'd be looking at, is the hull going to be turning as well? How many pips is that between there and there?
So it's undecided in terms of direction as it stands at the moment. And as you say, you're going to wait for an approach towards that line a bit higher up and see what it does from there.
Personally, I mean, the web analyzer might show, you know, you've got 6 pips here, but I wouldn't want to be doing anything with this. At the moment now, it's coming down off this old pitchfork.
Yeah.
It just could be that it's still making its mind up, waving its way along a bit, because it's on the 15 minute, it's come up past the 62 EMA.
Yeah.
So yeah, to me, it's kind of still making its mind up.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
So I like it because it's got the, it's got the right touches, but I don't like the way it's crossing. Although Chance always says pay more attention to the most recent pitchforks, obviously.
Yeah.
But I would still say to myself, not only has it got to get past Q3, it's still got an old pitchfork, which I know is still valid. It's still a mathematically accurate trend line.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what would I probably do now? I'd set an alert here. Take the magnet off. And just pushing up to I'll come back and look at it when it's done something there, I think.
Okay.
I just need to change my colour, otherwise I'll get into even more of a muddle when I'm looking at all these lines. Right, that's and then the last one was New Zealand dollar, Canadian dollar. Except we did have an alert go off, didn't we? One of my
yes, yes, there was an alert that came through.
I'll have to look at my emails for that. I've forgotten what it said. USD CAD. USD CAD. This might have been when you were out of the room. Set an alert, because price will always only ever do 2 things. As Paul said, it either breaks and retests, or it'll break and retest under. So it's either going to buy or sell once it stopped playing along whatever its price is doing in the middle of, it's going sideways when it has that sort of thing. So I set an alert to say to myself, I wanted to start to look at it to see if it was coming up to this pitchfork for a pitchfork touch. When we looked at it, it was in the middle of nowhere. So it was about here. So obviously it's been climbing steadily. And how many pips away is it now? 6 pips away from that. So once it's done that, I want to see whether it's going to break up.
Break out and upwards.
Or come back down again.
Yep.
So again, I look at the trend and draw the trend lines. Maybe put the hull on, use the pivots to draw the trend lines. So it's just so easy, you know, click of a button. So that was that one. And then the last one was I wanted to look at New Zealand CAD. New Zealand CAD with a 4 that Chance said should be shaping up for New York session.
Yeah.
And what he did, which I've forgotten to go back and look at, New Zealand, there it is. Now, I don't think I trade this one very often, it never appeals to me. Yes, because it's only a 2 out of 10, it's a very slow mover. So I'm not sure I've done a lot with this lately. There you can see some. So it's been in a downward trend that was drawn in June, that scan.
Yeah.
Now, what Chance did this morning was he gave us these markups. Let me just see what the shape of it is. If he did this one, because these were the 4, so he must have done this one. Because normally, if I'd had time today, I would have gone and looked at. It might be that one. Yeah. So this is how he marked it up this morning for us to look at this afternoon, as he happened to be trading today. So he put his alert bar there, expecting it to break upwards.
Yeah.
And he had talked to us about the fib level. So obviously it had, I can't remember now, but it must have pulled back to the 88.6, which is why he was fairly confident it would be coming up this way. And then he put an alert line at that pitchfork level.
Yeah.
So normally, if I'd had time today, I would have come and exactly done those 2 alerts and got my mind around what I was looking for, but I didn't. So so I'd done an alert there, which indeed is what it is doing. When I came on, when did I do that? No, sorry, that was from another one. But again, you see, there's no need for me to erase that, because what you're looking for is price to do the same thing here.
Yeah.
Or the reject off that reject off. It'll only ever do 2 things if it's not going sideways, won't it?
Yeah.
I will sell once it decides to make a run for it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the 4 hourly. I certainly don't want to be on that. Let's go down to the 1 minute. So we're just finished off by looking at this one. Okay. So if I do, let's just see what I can't remember what he did on the fib, but let me look at fib retracement from, say, the previous high down to where it touched on the low. So that doesn't work for me. So I need to do it the other way around, I think. Previous low to high. Okay, so it's pulled back to the from the previous high, it's pulled back to the 88. In fact, it's gone beyond it a bit, hasn't it?
Yes, it looks as though it has.
Yeah. If we use that as our 100%, and that one as our 0, So it's pulled back. It's pulled back to the 88.6. So now it's on its way back up. So I mean, it's obviously going to hit that pitchfork now. But on the strategy I use with Chance and Sam, I don't get in just for those 3 or 4 pips. I just, you know, we always just do our 1 to 2 risk to reward, 10 pip stop loss, 20 pip or more. Although you keep an eye on it, and if things are stalling out, you know, you've got to make a decision if you're going to get out if it starts stalling out on the 62. But it's got the you know, this is looking good for a buy, isn't it? It's got the upward, nice upward trend.
Yep.
Back to green. It's above the 62. I'll take the fib. It's got the fib pullback. And all we're looking for now then is a break and retest. Or would we have no break and retest of the trend line? Maybe that's what we're looking for. We want it to come through there.
Yeah,
it's had a break and retest of the 6. Oh no, it's a bit far away for the 60.
Yeah, I think it's.
Isn't it? There is that. Would he call that a? No, looks a bit. I don't know if he'd call that a matching up with the. Oh, 1.4 pips. Maybe he would consider that near it. I don't know. It looks a bit further apart to me.
Right.
For calling it a break and retest there of the 62.
Yep.
And I can't really see how to draw. But I put the trend line on here. From there. That to me is the better trend line, but it's a bit far away, isn't it?
Yeah.
In which case you could say it's broken there. So it's broken above the 62 there, broken above and retested, or it came to retest. I think 1.4 pips away is all right on the 62.
I would have thought so. I mean, that's fairly close, isn't it?
Yeah.
So at the moment, it's still finding support on the trend line. So
and it's above the 62.
It's above the 62.
So I'm looking for it now to make its mind up at this next pitchfork, I think, because it's kind of got to it's got to the middle of nowhere at the moment, hasn't it? As far as this strategy is concerned, there's not enough pips in it, and it doesn't work on our risk to reward ratio. Because that is the next pitchfork touch. But because it's hit the 88.6, it's definitely going to hit that, I think. And it's still on a bullish uptrend, as evidenced by that trend line. It's way above the 62. So I would think if it does break that there, goes up to quarter, there is another 10 pips. 10 pips there. So I can't really draw any trend line like that or a channel. So yeah, I mean it's on its way up, isn't it? So I'd be looking at that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it looks like it, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. I mean, there could obviously be a pullback towards the trend line before the next move upwards. So, and that could happen because because using oscillators, they're becoming quite heavily overbought, which in a trend doesn't necessarily result in it's moving down, but it's introducing a bit of caution to the move, which says they're getting heavily overbought. So how long do you spend? How long have you been doing this?
Let me just put pitchfork.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Pitchfork. I joined last May 2018. But to be honest, although I absolutely loved it, I honestly from day one knew it was the right thing for me. And I'd never found other affiliate marketing products I loved as much as money. It's money, and you don't have to sell and recruit, and it's just like a no-brainer, isn't it? 5.3 trillion market a day, and it's like doing a video game that pays you. But I joined in May, but June, July, August are my busiest times running the apartments.
Right.
So I just listened to a lot of videos and Brian and went on his sessions and Paul, tried a lot of strategies, and I was on holiday in September. And then October to December, I was on demo. And then January, February, and tried a lot of strategies, lost quite a lot of money on being stupid, rushing at things, over leveraging, all the usual stories you hear.
Yeah.
And then January, I went live and I said to Paul, you know what, if I just listen, because I'd watched quite a lot of educators, and I said to him, if I just watch one lot of educators, who would you suggest would work for me? And he said, try Chance and Samantha. And I've just never looked back, so I've just been, but I've got the time to do it. You see, I can go to bed and have a nap on the sofa, and I've only got to walk the dog and run the apartments. My daughter's in the UK.
Yep.
So I literally do 9 hours a week with them. I'm on every session. I write my notes. I do Paul's, I do Brian's, although I didn't manage to get on this week. Then I do my own hours. So I didn't go to bed till 3 this morning because I did a bit of Asian. And we've been on the session with Chance, and then I did London, then I did Paul's live trading, then I'm back doing this.
Blimey.
No, but that's an unusual day.
I'm glad to hear it.
Yeah, but at 4 p.m. Chance has got his psychology call, and I never missed that one. And then I've got to run upstairs and put their sheet on their bed.
Right.
Oh, look at it. Look, you're right. Look, it's just what you said it would do.
Well, yeah, but it may just, well, as it happens, yes. And it's that was more by luck than judgment. But now's the question, isn't it? So it's now either going to start to move back upwards from the trend line, having sort of retouched it, reconfirmed it and move up, or break down through it. And in which case that's, it's heading back down towards the 62 or through certainly through the trend line towards the 62. And then maybe you get a rally back upwards for a further move downwards, maybe. I don't know. Yes. So this is now sort of getting to an arena where it's going to do one thing or the other, and it's either going to move back upwards and re-challenge that recent small high, or go down, rally upwards and go down further.
Yes, and it's amazing how the markets, Paul found it this morning, didn't he, on the live session, that you're getting these, look at this rapid move.
Yeah, yeah.
Is that more, that's not more news, is it? Well, I suppose it looks like a big move, but it's probably only a few pips.
No, it isn't. I mean, it isn't that big a move by the looks of it. And in terms of
7 pips.
No, there's no more news. There might be some yellow folders, but they're relatively insignificant. I've only got the reds and the orange ones. There's no more red or orange.
No.
The next one's 2:30 a.m. tomorrow morning for AUD.
Oh, okay.
So that's tomorrow. Yeah. So has this been successful?
Yes, for me, yes. I can't imagine ever giving up Forex trading, and I will always do this. And I adore this strategy, because although it took me personally, you can't compare yourself, because some people learn at different rates and different ways, got other responsibilities. It took me a little bit longer because I got very stressed over the overwhelm. Once I'd learned, because I just said to myself, I'm just going to keep turning up. I'm being taught by a fast food fryer and a Walmart cashier aged 18. Surely I can do it. Do you know what I mean? Yes. And I just thought, I'm gonna stick at it. Even if it takes me 4 years till I retire on my state pension, I'm going to keep at it. Yeah. And it just slowly started to clear and click. I just kept turning up doing it, and I just find it incredibly, well, it suits me because I've got the control of the stop loss. I like all the lines, and I like the confirmations, and I like clicking the buttons. So I love the tight stop loss. Then I don't get, and the way Chance works mentally is that you work off percentage growth of your account rather than that's Airbnb, I'll call them back, I don't know why they're calling me, rather than pips. So that enables you to grow your brain into the fact that you might be handling larger lot sizes instead of, oh my God, I'm now in for several hundred or 1,000. You're just thinking, I can grow my account 5% today or 10%. Do you see what I mean? I love the way he thinks percentages. And that works for me. I know that gives me more confidence that I can grow to handling larger sums of money and bigger lot sizes without being too scared to press the button. Because as Paul said this morning, 2 pips can be worth 2 cents or 2,000, but you have to get your head around not worrying if you've lost that 30% of trades, because you'll win the 70%, and on the compound basis, as Paul shows us, you make a lot of money. So that's why this strategy works for me. Otherwise, I get very nervy. I don't want to be 40, 50 pips drawdown and stuck in a trade for 3 or 4 days to win 200 pips. As the chart says, on a 1 to 2, you know, 10 pips stop loss, 20 pip gain as a basis, you've got 1 to 2. But the trader, as we've discussed before, the trader who has to have a 50 pip stop loss to win 50 pips is only on a 1 to 1. Well, we've done 2.5. That's what I like about it.
I have to say, one of the things that appeals to me is this whole area of tight stops. You know, and what you have here, if I understand it correctly, is a situation where if you've got ready-made sort of stops and take profits come to it, and the stops in particular, you take a position and you're not looking at, as you've just said, you know, sort of 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 point stop. You're looking at really tight stops, and if it goes wrong, you're going to be told quickly about it, in which case you can take the relevant action. Now that makes sense to me. I sort of think, I like the idea of that.
Well, that's what I liked, because he never ever changes that rule. It is always a 10 pip stop loss, unless it's a GBP pair and you can go to 15 or 20 pips, because they're more volatile. And that's and then we look at where we did one this morning. We look at where the quarter theory line was, and he said put your stop loss at 14 pips. That'll cover you on quarter theory, and that was acceptable because it was a GBP pair. Otherwise, there's never any variant on his. He said this is the most successful strategy because it's the process, the rules, the checklist, the system. Once you've got it, you've learnt the recipe, and visually, he said, you train your eyes like in any strategy. What did he call it? The reticular activating system, to be able to see a winning trade. And that's why the back testing is important. So he's done some sessions where he's back tested, and he'll do it later today where you go over what went right or wrong on his entries and exits. Oh my God, they're my favourite, because he says you can see where it's broken and retested. You can see we've got check 2 that it's touched the pitchfork, that it's above the 62, and you think, oh yeah, I get it. And I don't care how many times he repeats it. I just love listening to it. That then means it starts to become just familiar, doesn't it? And I just love that 10 pip stop loss. So I've never been successful at winning those 50, 100, 200 pip great big runs, but this I know will make me equally well off, just like a tortoise. You know, a few pips a day on a 10 pip stop loss, chuck another 50 or 100 quid into my account without worrying about, oh, can I cope with this size of account? It's going to work. It does work. We've seen it off Paul's compound sheet. It goes through. And that's all you have to do. Well, that's what I believe anyway. I believe Paul. I believe Chance and Samantha. You see too much of it as a success, but you just have to find the strategy that works for you, lifestyle and visually. You know, some people like David Kahn and Brian, highly successful with their Bollinger Bands and their bounce back and their long-term big swing trades and the Hoff. You know, I just couldn't sit. I haven't got the patience to sit in trades for days. I like to get, I've got a character like Chance's personality. I like to get in, see it run, and bag me 20 pips or 10 pips if I've had to close it, get my money and out. And he's got that personality. He can't sit still for hours, or he said he can't stay in trades overnight, you know, or days. I can't do it, but some people can, which is, you know, it's just your personality, isn't it?
Well, that's
suits
quite
people
right.
Work as well, doesn't it? To be able to set things and leave.
Sorry, it does what, Sarah?
It suits people at work who have to go out to work.
Yes, that's quite right.
Because they can set something and leave it, you know, and as Paul said, they can use the exit manager to take 50% or whatever percent of their profits. Look, this little tinker's wicked out up there, and then gone and done an about turn on us. So that doji there, it was only 3 pips from the pitchfork. So Chance would almost consider that a touch.
Yeah. Yeah.
Usually we say 2 pips, but so it's touched and rejected off.
Yeah.
And it's now coming back down, as you said, to retest down
Yeah.
here.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, so what I find hard about these calls, although I love them because it helps me as well, if people ask questions and we all learn together, is I find it hard to focus on taking the trades while I'm talking and looking, because you have to you say to yourself, I need to sit and think. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
I get a bit like that with it.
Yeah. No. What in terms of hosting, as you're doing now?
In terms of hosting, I mean, I love doing it because I've spent so many hours just learning this strategy that any questions people want to ask me, I'm really happy to share if it helps speed up other people's success. Like, what settings this? What does that mean? Why do you put the pivots on? When do you use the hull? I know all the answers because I've sat on the sessions for 9 hours a week for 6 or 7 months, and I do keep listening to the same sessions. I never tire of it. But the advantage of that is that he now helps. If ever you say you show him a chart or ask a question, he always gives you a shout out and references you because he knows you've been faithful to wanting to learn it, so you get the benefit of a highly successful person saying, oh yeah, do this, do that,
So both he and Samantha are really sort of supportive, are they? And
very sweet people.
Are they?
Very into personal development, God, spirituality, the mountains and nature. I mean, they're just lovely, and they were just, as they said, from small town Illinois, destined to be farmers. And he thought they wanted a better life. And he said once he stumbled across Forex, he was drooling. He thought 5.3 trillion a day. This is for me,
Yeah.
And he was told at school he'd never be a millionaire, because he said they were asked one lesson to write down what they wanted to be, what was their ambition. He wrote down millionaire, and he said he got laughed out the door by the teachers and all his mates.
Yeah.
And he said, we just wanted a better life. We knew this wasn't for us, just being farmers and $20,000 a year. And in fact, he said, instead of having had their best year ever, they would have had their worst year ever, because they were looking at the farming records, which said that the jobs are going in farming and the whole industry is changing because of climate and beef eating or whatever, He said, it took him 16 months to learn this. He came across Chris Terry on the internet. He said, we're very lucky to have all these tools. They didn't have all these tools. And they're just, he said he's going to be a billionaire. And I just find that kind of story so inspiring. And some of these youngsters today, they're so amazing, aren't they? Their vision of, and they come out with such great phrases like, let your parents' ceiling should be your floor, because like Samantha, I grew up with a poverty mindset. My mum was always scraping around in her purse. Have we got enough to put on the table, And sometimes I found myself doing that, and I thought, oh, for fuck's sake, excuse my French, why am I scraping around for shrapnel in my purse? That's what my mother used to do, And you have to catch yourself trying to think wealthily, don't you, rather than repeating your parents' cycle.
Yeah, that's right. Yes, and getting trapped, as you rightly say, in your parents' cycle.
Yes, so I find them very. I have sat on Oren Wright's sessions and some of the others, and I do like it, but I find I get confused. That's why when Paul asked me this morning, it's stick to one strategy, because you can add in some indicators and stuff from other strategies like Fast 33. I know Chance used to use it, and it's very popular. Yeah. But you can't ride 2 horses, in my opinion. You've got to find one, whichever one it is, and just go with it.
Yeah. No, that's great. That's where I'm sort of gradually getting to. I mean, at the moment, I'm sort of in that confusion stage of I'm trying this and trying that and looking at this and looking at that. And all that's really happening is I'm not concentrating on one particular thing. And
I've so been there. I so empathise. I've been through exactly that with it. I think I was going through that October to December. I went through that, and then I bought every add-on that there was, because I thought, well, if I've got them all, I'll make money out of some of them. And
Yeah.
oh God, that did my head in even more.
Yeah, that's
I just
right.
went wild with it.
Yeah, and that's dead right, isn't it? And so you land up in trying to improve your performance or get your performance going. You think, well, the more opportunities I can develop for myself, the more chance I have becoming profitable. And of course, it turns out to be completely the opposite. And
Exactly.
Sod's says that, you know, a new opportunity, whatever it happens to be, you try, and the first one or two times that you do it through a combination of bad luck, lack of skill, obviously, lack of understanding, they go wrong, and you think, well, crikey, everybody else seems to get a win rate of 90% on these, and here I am, I've taken 4 or 5 of them, and all of them have gone wrong. So I have to go off and find something else, and you get in that horrible trap. And it's
I know.
yeah, so it's
It's
but I think this idea of Paul's in terms of you know, hosting the live trading sessions, I think it's an excellent idea, because where I think this could land up is a situation where obviously you're specialising in what you're doing, and other people are specialising in other things, and if you bring those together, you know, you can almost get a bit of added confirmation through the confluence of the fact that you're saying buy this at this level, and somebody else is saying, yes, I agree, buy it at that level, and that's what my system's telling me. So your own trading style isn't having to be changed, but it's you're in a situation where there's something else there that gives you that bit of extra confidence.
Yeah, I like that when I see Paul's screen share with the web analyzer, and he looks at a very specific point, and then
Yep.
I go on my trading view and I pick up the same thing on the 1 minute chart, and I think, wow, you know, it always amazes me. I think we are looking at exactly the same thing, just in a slightly different way.
That's right. That's exactly it.
It's amazing, but I try and be supportive and just say, yes, I can see it's doing this or that, without jarring against the major training, because I remember how confused I got when I thought, I'll just get my head around this, and then someone said, oh, put the pivots on. You think, what the hell's pivots? Oh, the MTFA, put that on. What? Where did that come from? And then you think, oh, I've lost my train of thought with it, don't you?
Yeah, no, that's quite right. Yes, I think you've got to have
part of the community and joining in the live trading, you know, it's great.
Yeah, well, that's right. And I think to have a situation where somebody else says, I'm planning on buying this at whatever level it happens to be, you then go to your own system and you say, right, that's what they're saying, let me see exactly what I think.
Yeah.
And if it confirms, then fantastic. If it doesn't confirm, then I either don't do it or I do it, but in all probability you wouldn't do it because it doesn't confirm your system. So it's almost like having a filter, you know. So you, instead of having to go off and find the things yourself, you naturally get given some things to look at, and so that saves an incredible amount of time. It also gives you the opportunity of talking about it as well, which is good.
Yeah, I really like that. You know, have a bit of a banter and everything, and to know that we've all got different time scales. That you know, just never give up with it. Just you know, that's my only counsel with it, because it truly is, as we've seen, you know, we're all quite intelligent people. It's just a question of learning the recipe. And I can assure you, if I can do it, anybody can, because you are speaking to the person who was the biggest dumbass in class when it came to anything mathematical. Just a complete blind spot with it. And all I have to do, whether it's this theory or anything else, is use the lot size calculator, click buttons to turn things on and off, and read patterns, and listen to what the successful people do as to what the confirmations are, and tick the list off. And then you can grab a bit of that 5.3 trillion. As Paul said, you only need a few pips.
Yeah, that's quite right. Yeah, that's dead right. Yeah.
And to me, that's worth $8 a day or whatever the cost is of the subscription. I don't understand people. I mean, as Brian says, some people don't want any tutoring from anyone. But I think to go off and try and learn Forex on your own and take signals and go on YouTube, I can't see how you can do it really and be a consistent long-term trader. But with this in our community with Paul and IML, I most definitely see how you can make a good living out of it, that you'll never have to worry again. But you know, $1,000 a week or something. I mean, to me, that's life-changing. You know,
well, it is for me. That's if I could do it. I mean, $1,000 a month, to be honest, would essentially double my pension, and it's Yeah, and so I mean that would be fantastic. And it's
Yeah. So I think that was the other thing
okay.
charts always teaches, is to set your goals, and then you work backwards from that. So if you wanted $1,000 a month, that's $250 a week. You're
Yeah,
looking at $50 a day. What would your lot size be on the pip? We go for 25 pips a day on this strategy.
yeah,
So what would your lot size be on average? Work your sheet out at the beginning of the week only. Go on the lot size calculator and
yeah,
write down what lot size is, and know how much money you are risking in
yeah,
money amount when you put your trade on, and work, so you know what you've got to do each day, and just focus on that $50 a day. And if one day you've made less, know what your percentage is when you get out. Don't revenge trade. One day you've made more, then you think, right, I've done good today, and you back off from it so you don't get overtired or fed up with it.
yeah,
So $50 a day with this is
yeah,
not beyond the realms of us, is it?
yeah.
You know,
I wouldn't have thought so. And it's yeah, no, I wouldn't have thought so. And it's because what I've found actually really quite helpful from this, from what Paul's doing, is listening to, and Paul, in fairness to Paul, he needs some help from us, I think, because the strain of what he's doing, he's sort of looking for opportunities, talking them through,
I know it's
answering any
a lot
questions
of
if there are.
work. Yeah,
There's a heck of a lot of work, and
yeah,
actually what we need to be a bit careful of, and yeah, is that he just doesn't say. I mean, he said it 2 or 3 times. Look, I'm spending my time here, and I'm not doing my own trading, and it's so I think, for us to be able to help him would be good in terms of ideas and just taking a bit of the strain off his shoulders, because I must admit it takes a bit of courage to do that, doesn't it?
yeah, it does, absolutely.
So yeah, I think between us, we sort of each came with some idea, just contributed in terms of answering his questions, but also saying, well, I've spotted so-and-so chance of, for example, well, what I said this morning, which turned out to be completely wrong in terms of the time span, and you straightened it all out. But at least then that took some of the weight off him. It was somebody else saying, here's something of interest, and it's come from this source, and this is why. And it's for him to then play the role of, well, let me have a look and see what it looks like, and let's talk about it. And it's
Yeah, it's good,
great.
isn't it?
That's good. Right. I think what I need to decide is, it looks as though I haven't gone through. I had to go at Steve Gregor, is it? Steve Gregor's stuff about, I don't know, 6 months ago or so, or whatever it happened to be, and got highly confused by it all.
Well, he's very advanced. He's the FX coach, isn't he?
He's the expert. Yes, I think he is. And I sort of tried that, and I thought, Christ, what on earth's going on here?
No, he's an absolute winner, but I think that takes you even longer to get your head round, to get
Right.
to the level of
So
efficiency.
Chance and Samantha are more simple, are they?
I think it's a bit difficult at first because he goes quite fast and you're thinking, oh my God. But once you've learnt copy and paste of the harmonic scan across onto your trading view,
Yeah.
and you've learnt that checklist of confirmations, then all you've got to look at is a very tight entry on the 1 minute because of the tight stop loss. So it's the question of perfecting your eye and confidence on these entries. But the good thing is you're only ever risking your 10 pips.
Yeah.
So that's, as I say, that's what I liked about it. It's the same thing over and over and over again. And I can't get enough of them. I've never tired of them, and that's since January. As I say, I'm a very devoted student of theirs, very devoted.
Yeah.
And I've seen his success, what they've done with their lives and how they've learnt this. And if 2 19-year-olds fast food fries can learn it, then I sure as hell can.
Yeah, that's right.
So I like it for all those reasons,
And do you have to set up your own charts in terms of, in terms of the fib levels and the
Yes, but that's easy. That's just the settings. You either ask him in the chat or I'll go through it with you.
Right.
And that's the other thing I like about his strategy. He only uses 4 or 5 indicators, very clean charts, keep it simple, and that suits me as well.
Yeah.
So we use quarters theory, the 62 EMA, the hull for exits, pivots, and the 930 15-minute EMA. And then we also have the sessions timer at the top, the PC, the FX trading sessions, which just shows you the crossovers in your local time, so you know what session you're trading.
Right. Okay.
Because obviously some pairs, hot pairs, as you know. So I can, you know, anything you need, I can always, you know, it's absolutely not a problem. It'd be a pleasure.
Right. Well, that would be great if I
Yeah,
can have a think about it, because it's once I start, what I don't want to do is sort of either go for this properly and devote and somehow find the time to devote to it to make sure it works, or I don't. You know, and
well,
what I
I
don't
think
want to do.
I know you've got a choice because they're different strategies. So it's either in with Paul with the web analyzer and the cloud and a bit of EC11 works perfectly well, and they're on the 15-minute, very tight group. You'll have good success with that because you know that's what they do every day. If you like that strategy, then absolutely, you know it's the same difference. Or you decide that visually and you know all the things we've discussed about the percentages or whatever in the 1 minute entry, tight entry, and a 20, you know, 1 to 2 is what you want to learn. You know, it's a lifestyle and a personality and a visual preference, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
And
yes.
I tried a lot of strategies, and I just, you know, trend breaker, bounce back, web analyzer, all sorts, and it only clicked when I started to use this because I like the quarters theory and I like the pitchforks. Each pitchfork has 20 pips. I like the simplicity of the repetitive formula.
Yeah.
And that you get in off a pitchfork, which is a bounce off point, it's a reversal point, and price will do the same thing over and over again. I just kind of, that works. It just sinks into my thick head the way he teaches it, you know?
Yeah.
I like working in those 20 pip bands for 10 pip risk. Works for me. That's what I like. I think that's why it's worth learning, because I like that precision. It gives me feeling of safety.
Yeah. Right. Let me have a look at this, and I mean, if I have a go at this, I would need some help. I'm sure I'll need some help.
I'm here all the time when I'm not changing beds and things. I'm very happy to help. Really.
Okay.
My
You
pleasure.
sure?
Yes,
you
of
sure?
course.
Because I mean,
No, I've helped other people. I
Okay.
get people messaging me. Truthfully, I'm very happy to help.
All right.
Just want us all to be successful. I'm in the same boat as you are. What I need, you know, I've got a tiny local government pension, and the UK government put back my state pension. 6 years. So I was going to retire at 60, and I can't do that.
You can't do it because of the pension.
Because they took my pension, that was my savings, off me. It wasn't like a nice to have. I paid in for that.
Yeah.
I've never had time off. That's a full state pension, 40 years worth. Not that you can tell I'm not a bit mad about it.
Yeah. Well,
so, you know, I'm in the same boat as you are. I'm now determined Forex will beat the pants off for me. Any pension in my life, this is going to do it for me. So I don't have the worry that they put on me, and they can all go stuff themselves.
Yeah.
Right, then you want 40 grand off me, I'll make it up somewhere else.
Yeah. That's quite right.
That's how you've got to think about it, isn't it?
Well, that's dead right.
Our old age with a bit of comfort, and we've worked hard for that, and then they go and move the goalposts. It's that. And
I have to say that move was disgusting. Yeah.
Disgusting. And pensions in Germany and France are much higher than you get in the UK. They get about 24,000 euros in Germany. We only get about 8, the maximum pension. Yeah, there's a huge difference.
Good God.
Apparently.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's why I'm determined to win at Forex for all those reasons. Whilst we can still walk, and we've got our teeth and everything else, we can enjoy ourselves a bit, you know. Can't wait around for them, can we? Because we'll just be scrolling around looking at the bottom of our purse again forevermore. I'm not going to live my old age like that. Yeah.
No, that's absolutely right. And then you become, if you can make this work, then you become truly independent, don't you?
Exactly.
And
for only a few minutes work a day.
Yeah.
That's what's so amazing. You haven't even got to do all the hours we used to do in the workplace.
Yeah.
It's just amazing. This is so amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, Bob.
Okay, that's smashing. Many thanks for your time and help, and I'll have a think about it and have a look at the training, and
just find me any questions if you need to ask anything else.
I will do. Okay, that's great. Okay. Thanks for that. Oh, see you tomorrow on Paul's thing. Right. Yeah. Okay. See you on Sarah. See ya. Bye. Bye.